Hello, good evening. Welcome to my Abbey Fences and the European Fertility Society. I'm glad to be back once again with Viki Peeters. She's right here with us today. And hello, Viki. Welcome back to my
Hello,
Abbey
Caroline.
Fences. Hope you
Thank
are
you very
having a good day and are ready to explore this particular topic and, of course, explain all the steps and how you've managed to do it as well, of course. And how are you today? How are you and how have you been?
I'm very fine. Yeah, I'm very happy to talk about this topic today. I think it's an
Glad to hear
important
that.
one. Yes.
Definitely. So we are happy to have you. And if you haven't seen a previous webinar with Vicky, she's the certified fertility coach. So she's the right person to answer any of your questions, queries, or even if you have something to share, she's here to simply support you. We are all here to support you today. And we will discuss, as you know, decisions at 40 plus, and we will definitely go through steps of solo motherhood, and Vicky will explore this topic with her presentation first of all. But afterwards, there will be time for the questions. So remember, you can put those in the chat, and Vicky will definitely answer them for you. And don't hesitate, okay? This is all anonymous, so we are here to support you, here to help you to answer your questions. And I think that we can go ahead with our presentation first of all. But as I mentioned, don't hesitate to ask your questions. Vicky, ready to start with our topic?
Yes, of course.
Brilliant. Thank you so much then. And let's go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much, Caroline, for the introduction. And good evening, everybody. I'm very happy that you're all listening tonight. As Caroline said, we are going to discuss the topic pursuing solo motherhood at the age of 40 plus. But first, I will briefly introduce myself. I'm the happy mother of two sons, Victor and Arthur. Victor is 15, Arthur is 8 years old already, and they were both born after a long and complex fertility journey. But since 2017, I have been working as a professional certified fertility coach, as Caroline told you. And I coach a very specific group of women. I coach successful women aged 40 plus who do not want to write off their desire to have a baby or another baby, next baby. And I can tell you that from this group, about half of them are indeed single women. So it's quite a big group. So I'm very happy to talk for this group tonight. Also nice to mention is that recently I became head of country development for Belgium in the European Fertility Society, the organization who is organizing these fantastic webinars. So here are some pictures of my private story very shortly. In the background, you can see some pictures, some remnants of my own fertility journey. As you can see, it was a long one, but luckily I can also show you the result of it, my two boys. And these are some pictures of my professional story, my work as a professional certified fertility coach. I'm based in Antwerp, in Belgium. But I also work a lot with, for example, Dutch clients or clients from other countries. So I do a lot of my coachings online. And in Antwerp, as you can see, I'm based right next to the Antwerp Central Station. Well, I think that's enough about me. Let's talk about you. Who is this webinar for? This webinar is really something for you if you are 40 plus or maybe 45 or 50 plus, who knows. And if you are single or maybe you have a partner, but this partner doesn't share your desire for a baby or for a next baby. This is a scenario I see quite often too with my clients. And well, it can be, of course, a huge dilemma. And sometimes then they are considering solo motherhood too. So you have a passionate desire for what might feel as a last chance baby. And well, that decision feels like a big emotional struggle for you, and because of that, maybe you are losing some valuable time which you cannot afford yourself anymore. So if you've recognized this, this webinar is certainly something for you. But what can you expect after this webinar? Of course, all these emotional struggles are not going to be resolved all of a sudden. I don't think that will be the case, but I hope you will at least better understand which very specific emotional struggles about single motherhood at 40 plus are bothering you or maybe blocking you, and what is important to get past this. As Caroline said, there are two parts in this webinar. First, this presentation that I will give you. At the end of the presentation, I will briefly tell you also something about my coachings, how I work very briefly in case you need more help with this. And then, of course, we'll do the Q&A. So you can put all your comments and your questions in the chat box. Well, if I look at this group of women we're talking about now that you're belonging to, at the group of women aged 40 plus and being single or being alone with this desire for a baby, then I see some very, very specific emotional struggles, and also quite strong emotional struggles. And these struggles are very typical for this group because of the combination of age and being single. And it's like these hurdles they have to cross, like in the picture, it's like these hurdles they have to cross. And yeah, I will tell about these hurdles in the next slides, and just listen and feel which one you recognize, especially, and put it in the chat box or ask questions about it. Well, the first very specific emotional struggles that I see when you're in this group is that saying goodbye to your ideal picture might be extra difficult. This ideal picture mostly consists of a family with you, a love partner, your genetically own child or children. Maybe in this ideal picture you got a mother at a much younger age, who knows. But saying goodbye to this ideal picture can be very tough because you have been waiting for and longing for this ideal picture for an extra long time. You didn't decide to do this or to become to go for solo motherhood when you were 30 or 30 something. No, you waited until you were 40 or 40 something. So you got more attached to this picture the longer you waited. You always thought you would meet your dream partner and start a family together at last, and you always thought that your partner would, or you always thought that your partner would eventually agree for a baby or another baby, but it didn't happen. And saying goodbye to this ideal picture and making the shift to a new picture that can be beautiful as well, but that is different, that's a real grieving process. And that's important for you to realize and to admit to yourself that this is a real grieving process. You are not losing a physical child, but you are losing an imaginary child, a dream child, as you always dreamed it and planned it. And well, this is difficult. Second very specific emotional struggle in this group is that you might feel a huge time pressure that is really paralyzing, that can be really paralyzing you in this decision process. Also because, yeah, in this decision process, you're alone in this, so this makes it extra difficult. You realize that you don't want to get much older to become a mother, especially since you will be raising this child alone. You also realize that in a new relationship, you don't immediately start having children. If you meet your dream partner tomorrow, we will not be starting children the day after. You realize that at 40 plus, your healthy egg reserve is running low. It's too late for social freezing most of the times, for freezing your eggs. Or maybe you had social freezing, you froze your eggs when you were younger, but now you feel, okay, I cannot longer wait to use them and get pregnant. You also may start facing age limits in fertility clinics, and also for adoption or foster care. Of course, this depends on the laws in your own country, but yeah, you can start facing these age limits, and well, there are higher thresholds for singles anyway, so this all can make the time pressure very, very tough. Another hurdle, getting pregnant becomes really complex, or it can become very complex. Of course, if you want to get pregnant and you don't have a partner, then you will need donor sperm. Emotionally, this can be a barrier in itself, because what I said about the dream picture, it probably this sperm donor was not in your ideal picture. When you were young, this was probably not what you dreamed of. I will have a baby with a sperm donor. But above that, insemination with donor sperm has quite low success rates, especially if you're 40 plus. The success rates of IVF with donor sperm, IVF with donor sperm, depend on your healthy egg reserve. We will be talking about that in one of the next slides. And then a scenario that I very often see with my clients being aged 40 or 45 plus and being single is IVF with double donation. So the embryo is then created with a sperm and an egg donor, or embryo donation. These are embryos most of the times donated by other couples. It's less often than double donation that I see this. But yes, this is a very complex scenario, because for you it's probably the most far away from your ideal picture, and also for your child it can be complex, or that's a big concern. You're maybe struggling with, how will this be for my child that will not be genetically linked, not with me and not with a partner. Another reason why it's getting complex sometimes to get pregnant is that a lot of single women aged 40 plus are going abroad to another country to become pregnant. There are several reasons for this. Maybe single women are not treated with fertility treatments in your own country, or there are long waiting lists for donors. There are different reasons why people go abroad, but yes, when you go abroad, it makes it more complex again, because which country do you have to go? There are different laws anyway everywhere, and well, yeah, which fertility clinic do you have to choose, and you have to travel, and there is a language barrier. So yeah. Next hurdle, well, I see in this group that they struggle with extra much ethical questions. I think if you're in this group, you are struggling with the most ethical questions. The questions, for example, am I selfish, is one that I very often hear in all kinds of situations. But when you are single and at a certain age, this question becomes even more strong. Will my child be happy or unhappy with an older mother, like they say, and no father, and being donor conceived? And how will I tell all this and explain all this to my child later on in the future? Also, a big concern is, what are other people going to think about this, that I have a child at this age with a donor or with two donors maybe? I experience that this is very often a concern of intended parents. What are other people going to think about what we're doing at the moment? But in this group, as a single, you also realize that you will be needing these other people When you're raising your child alone, you need practical support and mental support from these other people. So it's a big concern, what are they going to think, and will I still get their support? And then another hurdle is also you're not only struggling with very much ethical questions, but also with a lot of practical questions, extra much practical questions. When you're 40 plus, you are already accomplished. You've built a professional life, you've built a social life. And well, the question is, can I combine this life that I've built with a child that I will be raising alone? Can I handle this alone? Will I still be physically fit enough when my child is X years old? Then I'll be so much years old. This is a concern, of course. And will I still have enough me time, for example, time for myself? When you get older, or a little bit older, then maybe you need more time for yourself, time for personal development, for reflection. And will you still have this me time? Also, a big concern I often hear is, well, I'm getting older, but the people around me are also getting older, or some of them may already have died. For example, my parents or one of my parents already died, or they're already older. And will I find enough practical support to do this? This is a very big concern very often. Another question is, who will take care of my child if something happens to me? Especially when you're already 40 plus, then you get more sensitive for the dimension of time, and also, yeah, you have no partner, so this question becomes very strong. Well, these were, I think, the most important hurdles, or, well, emotional struggles that I experienced with clients in this age group. Well, I'm very curious which ones you especially recognized, or which others you want to add. That can be the case, of course, too. Next question, of course, is how do I get past these hurdles? Because at 40 plus, you want to get past them. Your biological clock is ticking. You feel it's maybe like a now or never moment, sort of a sort of tipping point. I do this now, or I don't do it anymore. And yeah, you want peace of mind maybe about this, or yeah, you don't want to get the age difference between you and a future child become even bigger. So you want to get past this. And what is important then, if you want to do this? I always look with my clients at three layers. And the first layer is yes or no. Can you fully opt for the scenario of being a single mother at this age, at this stage in your life, or not? And I think it's very important to really dig into all these fears and doubts and worrying thoughts, which are blocking you, the ones we discussed in the previous slides. Don't push them aside, but really analyze what you're really blocking on, and really look at it. And another thing is also, don't forget to connect with your deep longing for a child, because of course that's you have a longing for a child, otherwise you wouldn't be listening now, for example. Also, yeah, like I said, it is a grieving process about your ideal picture, and maybe have underlying losses also. Also, spend, yeah, time for this grieving process. Sometimes also look at the family system, but because there can be some patterns in the family system that explain why you are struggling with this. I could spend the whole webinar on this, but I'm not going to tell you a lot things about this. But well, this is a bit of a metaphor for what I told you in the previous slide about this fears and doubts, and also about the your desire and your longing for a child and your dream. So on the picture you see above the water, you see a very paradise island in a beautiful blue sea. And this is your dream, your baby dream. You're longing for a child. It's really beautiful. It's your heart and your soul. But under the water is like a vicious, invisible monster. And this is your brain and your ego doing this. These are your worries and all kind of beliefs and doubts and fears and maybe old pains. And they can be very undermining for your longing and your desire. And your brain is creating them because your brain doesn't like uncomfortable, unknown, unfamiliar scenarios, like, for example, being a mother a solo mother at age 40 plus. So it's really important to stay connected with this dream and really, like I said, dig into these fears and doubts that are blocking you, and don't push them aside because they can be very undermining. A second layer where you have to look at is, well, suppose I will be doing this. How am I going to do this? Of course, that's an important question too. And two things are important. And first thing is, if you're 40 plus, then medical advice about your fertility is a very good idea to know which are the realistic options. A second thing is, I will also discuss this in the next slides. Ask for medical advice, but also trust your own gut feeling. Don't blindly go along with things your fertility clinic or fertility doctor in your own county says. You have to find your way in it that feels good for you. For example, if in your own country they propose anonymous donor conception to you and this doesn't feel good for you, then look further until you find a scenario you do feel good about. I will talk about this in the next slides. About the medical advice, I'm not a doctor, so it's not my role to give you medical advice. I won't do this, but this is a very important thing that I just want to say very shortly is please make sure that you have a clear picture of your remaining egg reserve. At 40 plus, this is so important to know. And there are some simple tests that can help you get this clear picture. It's first of all a blood test called anti-Müllerian hormone, which is gives a very good indication of your egg reserve. And then there is the antral follicle count. This is an ultrasound that can be done in the beginning of your cycle. And then they count on the ultrasound the small follicles that are already in your ovaries. And the combination of these tests gives a very good indication of which your healthy egg reserve is. Your egg reserve, you don't know if it's healthy, but your egg, how big your egg reserve is. So that you know where you stand. And for example, don't go and mess around with self-insemination kits if maybe your egg reserve is very low and you need more medical treatment to get pregnant. So you know where you stand if you do these two tests. And what I see with clients is that very often even doctors, general practitioners, for example, don't know these tests, don't talk about these tests. So that's why I want to say it again, because it's so so important. And well, this is then the maze of options you get into and where you have to find your way in it. There can be, if you don't opt for adoption or foster care, then yeah, sperm donation, or you may have to choose for double donation or embryo donation. You can choose for anonymous donor, an identical donor, a known donor, maybe intended co-parenting. If you have fertility treatments, it can be in your own country or it can be abroad. Which fertility clinic do you have to choose? Which sperm bank do you have to choose? Yeah, it's a whole maze of options, and it's really important to find your own way in this, which feels really good for you. Like I said, trust your gut feeling in this. It's one of the things I do, for example, with my clients, is to help them find their way in it. And then this is a third layer I always look at. The future of your child, what's next. What I mean here is that, of course, you make this decision now from your own perspective, but in this decision process, of course, also look from the point of view of your future child. Reflects also on the place of the donor in your future story, even if the donor is anonymous, or your child can track the ID of the donor only when it's about 18 years old, and he or she won't be physically in your life in all these years. The story that the donor is always present in the energy of your family system, so it's very important to think about which place the donor has. Also make a plan about how and when to talk about this with your child. This may sound like future music, but it is part of your decision process too. And reflect on your child possible search for the donor. What is possible, for example, and there is a huge evolution with DNA databases. For example, it's interesting to know something about this already now, so that you know this for the future for your child, and that your child feels that it's welcome to do this search for the donor. I told you I would very briefly tell you something about my coaching modules. I have 3 of them. One of them is especially about egg and sperm donation, because this is such a complex decision, and we look at these 3 layers. I have one which is named 40 plus and child wish. It's about it can be about the decision process, can be about fertility process, can be about a pregnancy. And then the last coaching module is a very short and quite cheap one, called IVF IUE abroad. This is when you want to search for a fertility clinic that matches your values and your wishes. A fertility clinic abroad, then I can help you with this. All these coaching modules are based on individual coaching. You get a set of inspiration sheets between the session. You get an audio recording with a visualization exercise, and you have my WhatsApp support and my emails, or my email support 7 days a week. So if this is triggering you in any way, or you need more help at a certain moment, you can always ask for a free online match call on my website. And then, well, we plan a call soon if you fill in this form. So this is it for my presentation. I think we're ready for the Q&A now. Caroline, if you...
I am here, of course. Thank you so much, Viki, for your presentation and introduction. And you've been able to explain it, I think, every step of the way. It's clear, but of course, now it's your part. If you have any questions, go ahead, type those in. Viki is here for you, and she's here to support you and also share her own experience, as she already mentioned during her presentation. So feel free to do it. I don't see yet questions, so I can only encourage you to type those in. And as I've mentioned, this is all anonymous. So if you don't have a question, share anything that's on your mind, and I'm sure Vicky will be happy to make some help, to suggest, to maybe even suggest something or advice from her own experience. Thank you so much, Vicky, again. And of course, before we need to wait for some questions right now, but I wanted to ask you, many times people feel that they are, it's hard for them to discuss it because of some problems with society, that they are they fear that they are older and they want to pursue solo motherhood. What's your take on that? How would you be able to encourage people to still go ahead and chase their dreams of becoming a mom?
Yeah, like you say, I also, it's also my experience that a lot of people are blocking on the opinion of other people and society, or people around them. But I also feel that in this age group, 40 plus, women are more and more thinking, okay, but if I want to pursue my own dreams, then now is the moment. I cannot longer wait. And yeah, like I said, I always encourage them to also connect with their dream, with their desire, and not only think about all the worrying thoughts and opinions, and but really connect with his dream. And like in my coachings, I, for example, do a visualization exercise and things like that, or I let them analyzing their wish for a
Mm-hmm.
child, what they look for in this desire. And because yeah, sometimes they are quite far away from their desire. They're disconnected from it because of all the opinions and worrying thoughts and
Exactly.
things
Yeah.
like that. Also society, what you say, society, what society is saying, because it's, of course, it's not mainstream, it's not average, it's older than average, and single is also not average. But yeah.
Okay, so there
Yeah.
are ways to also, you need to, it's a process, I guess, right? So you need to think about not what everyone is saying, but every step you take one step at a time,
Yeah.
and you have to make up in your mind, I guess, in such case, right?
Yeah, and
It's
other
not, it's a
people.
difficult one, but
Yeah,
this is
these
possible.
other people didn't have your experience. They never had to yeah, think about solo motherhood at 40 plus maybe. So
Yeah.
how can they understand? So yeah.
Mhm.
Mm.
Okay, thank you so much for my additional question. And in the meantime, we did receive some questions, of course, from our patients. So let's have a look. So, how do you tell a child she was conceived through egg donation, embryo donation?
Um, well, I don't know what you mean with how. Maybe you mean when,
How do
or
you tell? Yeah.
yeah. Well, they always say there are two lines possible. You can choose like a particular moment in time. Of course, when you're single, the child will notice that there is not a father, or maybe there is a father if you have a new partner in the meantime. But they always say you can choose for a certain age to tell, or what you also can do is you can always tell it. You can tell it when you were pregnant. You can tell it when the baby was just born. The baby doesn't understand anything of it, but maybe unsubconsciously, it takes something. It takes something with it, and then it's like planting a seed and let it grow more organically. The story. So you know, it can be a special moment, and then a child can remember, oh yeah, that's the moment I was told the story, and it was a before and an after. But you can also plant a seed and let it grow with your child, and then the child will never remember when it was told all the story about the donor, and etc etc. And when you do it like that, and this is, well, the way I would prefer to do it, and a lot of people do it, then of course you have to adjust your language to what the child understands at that moment. For example, when it's 1 year old, it's yeah, you have to use other words and language than when it's 5 or 8 years old, for example. So, and well, of course, you always have to wait for like occasions when it's a good moment to say something about it, and you touch it very briefly, because after a half a minute your child won't be listening anymore. So you just have to touch it very shortly, and just release it again, and yeah, adjust your language to what a
Mhm.
child understands at that moment. But there are, like on the Donor Conception Network website, there are good there are good publications about this, for example. And there are good books to talk with your
Yeah.
children also, like a
I
child.
think more and
Yeah,
more books are out there actually on this. So
yeah,
those are little stories about
yeah,
donor conception, which is amazing, I think, and
yeah.
it's
Really, it
very
is
dedicated to children. So they are,
yeah. You have like
illustrations and everything, right?
single mother with a sperm donor, or
Mm-hmm.
single mother with a double donor. There are different child books to talk with your
So
child about this on a very young age.
So if
So
anyone is struggling, I guess they can always. This is, I think, inspiring just to have a look at them and see how it can be done. Yeah, how to tell that. So
yeah,
it's the information is out there for sure, right? So
yes,
this is
of
good, and
course.
it's more and more out there, I think, as well. So thank you, indeed. I hope that helped. I do believe so. So thank you for your question. And let's have a look. Okay, maybe you can have a look at this question and have some tips. I recently had a chemical pregnancy and using a known donor after 3 months of trying, and I am concerned about it happening again. Any tips? I will be grateful.
Of course, it's more like a medical question, I'm afraid. Yeah, I think you really have to discuss this with a fertility doctor. It's not really my role, I think, to give you advice in this.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Sure.
but I always say, if it happens once, it can be a bad coincidence, but it happens twice or three times. Yeah, please insist with your doctors to have further tests, and yeah, don't wait too long with this, because you don't want to repeat this too often. You don't want to experience this. There are always extra things they can add for you to reduce the risk of a new miscarriage or chemical pregnancy, like yeah, reproductive immunology, immunology in Dutch. I
Yes.
cannot say it.
Mm-hmm.
Like or other things like some
Of
blood
course.
thinners and things like that. But yeah, I think you really have to discuss this with a doctor.
For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, just to find what's the, of course, we will definitely have more webinars coming up with some doctors so you can join us. But obviously, it's always best to double check with your doctor just to find the right treatment for your particular case as well. So thank you so much for sharing as well, and Vicky, thank you for your help. Okay, and this is just a short question. So do you do general fertility coaching? So I guess not only 40 plus and solo motherhood, but any other.
Yeah, certainly not only solo motherhood. I like I said, half of them, about my
Mhm.
clients, half of them are single, and half of them are part of a couple. And 40 plus, of course, that's my focus, because I feel that is the group work where I can have the most added
Mhm.
value, because they have a great sense of urgency and etc. etc. But sometimes I have people who are 30 something, who also have the same struggles, and I'm not going to send them away, of course.
Yes.
And yeah, I don't know what you mean with general fertility coaching, but yeah, I like I said, I work in different stages of your process, the decision process, the fertility treatments, where you have emotional struggles, and sometimes even if you're in your pregnancy and you still have struggles, because, for example, you're still afraid that it will go wrong, or you had a miscarriage. So it's quite general, I think, in the different stages.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That makes sense, of course. Thank you so much for answering that question and as well. Next one with some of the details. Let's have a look, okay? If you can advise here. So, how would you handle the situation where the partner's not want doesn't want a donor baby, having like a black and white vision, or would accept it, but in no way wants to be involved in the IVF adventure, neither emotionally nor financially? Would you advise to go ahead solo?
Whoa, this is a very complicated
Mm,
story
for
question
sure.
to answer. Like I said, I have quite some clients who struggle with this dilemma. I said it in the beginning. Having a big dream for a baby and your partner doesn't share this or doesn't want to do it that way. It's a huge dilemma. I realize this, but I cannot say now, oh yes, just go ahead alone or not. I can really not give this advice all at once. Yeah, it's very difficult. I think a question I always ask my clients is, how do you want, this is like I said, it's kind of tipping point in your life. It's a kind of turning point in your life. You feel it's now or never. I don't know how old you are, but it may be like you feel it's now or never. A question I always ask is, how do you want to look back at this moment
Mhm.
in about 10 or 15 years? How do you want to look back at it? And also, when you're struggling with this kind of huge dilemmas, because this is what it is, really look at it and, for example, have a coach, me or another one, doesn't matter, but look at it together or alone.
Mhm.
But don't let the time decide for you. Make this decision yourself, because if you let time decide, it will be, I think, very difficult in about 10, 15 years time.
It can be even more difficult. Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
With not
Just
not
let
making that
time decide and make
decision.
make a decision yourself. But yeah, there are so many things that play a role in this dilemma. I cannot give you an advice based on
Of
this
of
information.
course.
I think, yeah,
So it's always more complex. It's not. It's never an yes or no kind of questions. Obviously,
yeah.
remember
But
that. But
in a couple, of course. I think there's always you need like a balance in a relationship. You give some and you take some between partners. And well, of course, if you offer your dream, your baby dream, for your partner, then yeah, how can the balance be? Yeah, can it be good again? I mean, yeah, that's something you have to think about. How can you rebalance this imbalance that you have created by this? Is always something I say. This balance between giving and
Mhm.
taking in a relationship. Yeah, that's something you have to think about. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And let's have a look. Okay, we have another question here. So, can you recommend any practical ways to work out what you want and how to proceed? Example, you've mentioned visualization. Sorry, could you make some recommendations? It's a good question indeed as well.
Can you recommend any practical ways to work out what you want to produce? Um, Yeah, practical ways. You mean how I practically work then? Well, I do a lot of, I do more than just talking, 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 because my experience is that when you only talk about this, you stay in your rational story that you know for a long time already. You know your own story. You have thought a bit about it for a very long time, most of the times. So I most of the times I do quite other I use other tools, like for example a visualization exercise, because then you go to a more a layer in which you're going to feel, not going to think. What I also do is family constellations with like these wooden dolls, because yeah, child wish is a very it's a topic that is very related to your family system. So this is something I do for who will you place where your partner and the donor and you and yourself and the baby. So yeah, there are a lot of tools. I cannot tell them all, but but I think yeah, I believe that these tools give a better result. I also experience is than just talking, because then you're just repeating the story you already know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what I also do a lot is, for example, writing exercises, because then you have to structure things for yourself. And yeah, if you write like for 20 minutes, the first sentences will be what's on top of your mind or really
Mm.
mental things. But if you write like 20 minutes, then you go to a deeper layer. For example, this is something you can do for yourself too, writing exercises and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you again for those tips here. And Debbie has another thing here to share, but also maybe you can advise her here. So everything you have covered is exactly how I feel. I finally got the courage to do this on my own, but then COVID happened. And then recently I lost my mom, who was my major support. I have lost a bit of my confidence and keep worrying I am being selfish and what will people think. Yeah, this
Yeah,
is what we discussed as well before. Anything you can add?
yeah, I'm so sorry you lost your mother. I lost mine too last year, so I know how you feel. And well, about being selfish, yeah, I told you I hear this so many times. Am I selfish? But I think every desire for a child is selfish. I mean, even if you're 20 or 30, or you're doing this naturally, or with IVF, or with adoption, or whatever, you always want this child from you, because you are really longing for this. You are really longing for this. You're not doing this because of the child that will come out of this. So every child wish is selfish, and I think there's nothing wrong with it. It's more like an instinct thing or something. So you're not more selfish, I think, if you want a baby at 40 plus than you are when you are 20. And you're
Mm.
not more selfish to do this alone than when you do this with the two of you. My experience is that solo mothers, or solo intended mothers, that they think this they think much more about this and feel much more about this than other
Mhm.
um, women. So they're just doing it. And
Yeah.
you're thinking, when you're older, 40 plus, and you're single, then you think more about it, and reflect more on it than any other um, women, I think. So
Okay.
yeah. And what people think, I recognize this also from a lot of other people I'm talking to, that this is a big concern. And this is also because we feel loyal to our to the system and to the society we are belonging to, and we want to belong to this group we are in, and we don't want to lose the connection. That's a big fear, I think, of everyone, to lose the connection and to be disloyal to the groups we're in. So I think it's very normal. But yeah, yeah, are you going to lose your dream because of it? That's another question, of course.
Yeah. Thank you so much for this. Another great advice, I think. So, and I hope, I believe that it helped. And we talked about some books. Do you have any in particular to recommend that would be appropriate for a young child, age 4, or the
Um,
source
I
from
don't
which it's?
know the title, but I know it's on the website of Donor Conception Network, the UK website of Donor Conception Network. There is a book list, and there is one in it. There is one book for this for children being double donor conceived. So you have to look on the website, because I don't remember the title, but I know
Mhm.
there is one specific book for this.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you wish to get, you can get in touch with me. My email address is in the chat, and I'll be happy to check this with Vicky, and we can help you out
Oh
with
yeah,
the
I can.
title.
Yeah,
Yeah,
give
we
you.
can definitely do
Or
that.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
please
yeah.
just remind us and send us a message, and I'll be happy to help you out with the title as well. Okay. All
Certainly,
right.
please.
Thank you, and let's have a look. Here's another question. So, how to tell the child that is coming from a double donor without risking that the kid considers itself a designer baby for selfish reasons? It is somehow easier for ethical reasons to explain to the child that it is an embryo donation than it seems from a double donation. Okay.
Yeah, I understand what you say. Um, I think the first important thing is people often ask me, will my child be unhappy about this or will he be happy with this? My question always is then, how happy are you with this? I think if you stand very firmly in this decision, then your child will also be much. Be firmer, more firm in this. I mean, what you as a mother feel, then that your child will yeah, will feel. If you are not stable in this or firm in this, then your child will feel this, I guess. So I think that's a very important thing first, how you feel about this. And then another thing is, yeah, I think it's always important to normalize it for your child, the way it is conceived. Always tell your children, for example, that there are so many ways that families can be created. There are children from double donation or sperm donation or a surrogate mother or adoption, or yeah, there are so many yeah, ways that a family can yeah, families exist. So I think normalization is very important in this, as your child feels okay. Not everybody is conceived this way, and it's not normal for everybody. But in our family or in our people around me, just normal. Yeah, I think this is important to normalize it.
Mm-hmm. And so
Yeah.
the more you talk about it, the more, I guess, normal it
Yeah.
is in your family as well, right? All right.
Yeah, if you feel, oh my God, what did I do? And maybe I was selfish, and maybe I created a designer baby, then I think that your child will very easily, yeah, a child. I feel this with my own children. They're so well, they're a little bit older now, but the youngest, for example, he's still very, yeah, he. They have a sixth sense for all that is that you don't say, but you feel. They pick it up.
Mm.
So yeah,
So it's important definitely to be sure, let's say, right? Be
yeah,
100% sure, and then
and
it's
don't.
just
If you feel selfish, then yeah, ask yourself, why do I feel selfish? Do I have to feel selfish? And change, start to change that, maybe how you feel about it.
all right. Thank you so much. It looks like that was our final question, but of course, thank you so much, everyone, for joining in your questions, but also sharing and your comments. And I believe it was useful for you as well. There are some thank yous coming up, and here's another one from Debbie. Thank you so much. That is so helpful. It has been my dream to be a mom for many years. I would hate not to fulfill it. So,
Wow.
as always, wish
Good
you
luck.
all the best and good luck. And thank you so much, Vicky. Definitely interesting session. I'm so happy that we are discussing this. And I know that we will have some more discussion on this topic. We need to do this every now and then for sure. And Vicky will be back with us. I am sure of it as well. Thank you so much, Vicky. As you can see, more thank yous are coming up here.
Nice.
So, anything else you wish to add before we end for today?
Do I want to add something? Is that what you
Yeah,
asked me?
sure.
Ah, okay. Sorry, I was looking at the, the thank you.
Sure.
No, yeah, I was very happy to talk for, like I said, for this very, it's a very specific group. But yeah, also when I look at the questions, there are so many doubts and fears and yeah, like I said, the other ones, other people's opinions. I feel this with my clients too, and also in this group. And yeah, just go for your own dream. Yeah, that's what I would want to say. Just go for your own dream. There's much
Perfect.
more possible than you might think. And when you feel good about it, I'm sure that your child will feel good about it at last. But that's the
Well,
first step. Feel good about it yourself. Yeah.
sounds good, and the perfect ending for sure for today. But of course, remember that if you wish to get in touch with Viki, just get in touch with her. She's a great expert, and I'm sure she'll be happy to support you and help you out with any questions that you still might have. And one more thank you. So I want you to see. But of course, remember that we will be back, and actually, there will be a webinar tomorrow. This week, we are having 4 webinars, so please join us tomorrow. We will talk about premature ovarian failure. If this is something that is interesting for you, join us. There will be Dr. Halina Strelko with us, and I'm sure she'll be happy to answer some of your questions as well. And of course, Viki, thank you so much. It was great to have you. Thank you for sharing this topic. And of course, I'm looking forward to some more events with you as always. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy your evenings, and I hope to see you tomorrow as well. Take care. Good night.
Bye.